evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to yet another session of CA Live. So, I'm Sarah Shifa, and it's truly a pleasure to have you all join this evening. And I believe that today's session is going to be very important and a highly valuable discussion for all our students. So, today's discussion is centered around a topic that has generated a great deal of interest over the last couple of days or months, I would say, a lot of curiosity, and naturally, quite a few questions among students across all levels. And that is the capstone. As many of you already know, under the CA Sri Lanka Curriculum 2025-30, the capstone is not treated as just another assessment. It is introduced as a key part of your student journey and designed to bring together application expertise, power skills, and integrity skills at each level: business, corporate, and strategic. The curriculum has clearly positioned Capstone as a bridge between learning and real world professional readiness. So, the broader vision someone who is not only just technically strong, but also trusted, strategic, and an effective storyteller. And the capstone plays a central role in bringing those qualities together in practice. So, today, our aim is to understand or help you students understand and gain exactly what the theme of the session promises. It's clarity and confidence around capstone. So today, students and all attendees who have joined with us today, we will be discussing what is capstone, how it works, the steps students need to follow, the prerequisites and requirements, the connection between power and integrity skills suit and the capstone, about the verbal pitch, how it works, the transitional and exemption related concerns, whether capstone can be pursued alongside other modules, and the assessment structure. Also, we will be discussing the timeline, duration, and cost aspects that students need to understand in this process. So, before we begin, dear attendees, I have a few important housekeeping announcements. So, the session will be hosted on Zoom. It is being hosted on Zoom and also live on Facebook. So, I kindly request all students to please send in your questions through the chat box option, and we will address each and every question as much as possible. So, all students, you are now welcome to direct your questions, not just in English, but whatever the language that you are comfortable with, English, Sinhala, or Tamil. And please feel free to engage. And now, to guide us through today's discussion, we have with us a panel. And first, I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Madhushi Hapuarachi, Deputy Director, Student Affairs of CA Sri Lanka. And also we have with us Mr. Kalhara Gunatunga, the Manager Education at CA Sri Lanka. And also joining the panel, we have Ms. Anjalika Kulatunga, Manager Skills Development of CA Sri Lanka. So let's begin. Thank you very much to our panel for taking the time to be with us this evening. So to start off today's discussion, or to lay the most important foundation, I would like to direct the first question to Ms. Madhushi Hapuarachi. So, Ms. Madhushi, if you can give us a greater understanding on what exactly this new curriculum 2530 is all about, the curriculum structure, and what exactly is capstone in this student journey. How does it work in terms of the overall purpose? Why was this introduced to this structure? And if you can also take us through about how we integrate the enabling skills, the integrity skills, the power skills into all of these three different levels of capstone: B cap, C cap, and S cap, and why it has been introduced and what is the role of it within this qualification journey of all our aspiring chartered accountants.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So I hope I am audible enough to everyone. Sure, I'm audible enough. Okay. So, thank you very much for joining with us today. And so, this is the continuation of the last session, which we have done on the detailed introduction of the new curriculum. So, this session is focused on the capstone aspects, as Sarah mentioned in the introduction part. So, then what I wanted to highlight is in our new curriculum, we have the three promise objective, the creating the trust and the strategic and the storytelling skills part through the subjects which we are offering through the curriculum. So the speciality of this curriculum is that we have incorporated a lot of new areas, including the digital data, sustainability, and also the integrated knowledge which related to the subject areas which applicable to the curriculum as well. So I will just brief everything in initially in the English, and I will come into the answer your question in Sinhala medium as well if anyone has any need further clarification. So in our curriculum, as you see in the screen, we have three levels, business, corporate, and strategic level. The main difference from the previous curriculum to this curriculum is previous curriculums we had 24 subjects, including the communication, IT skills, and the case study. But the new curriculum, you have to only to do 15 subjects in our new curriculum. So the new curriculum, the curriculum 2025-30, which is a level-based curriculum. So there is uh, so you have to complete four subjects in a particular level and then complete the business capstone project at the end of each level. So likewise, all three levels is going the core modules plus capstone. That is the basis which we have developed. So in the curriculum, we have main four pillars like financial accounting, management accounting, risk control assurance pillar, and business environment, law and taxation pillar. So with these four pillars, we have introduced the capstone project at the end of each level. So the today focus will be on the capstone projects. Uh, මම සිංහලෙන් චුට්ටක් මේක ගැන කියනවා නම් මේ කරිකුලම් එකේ ස්පෙෂල් ෆීචර් එක තමයි අපි number of subjects අඩු කරලා තියෙනවා previous syllabus එකට comparatively ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපිට subjects 24ක් තිබුණා. දැන් subjects 15ක් complete කරලා CA qualification එක complete කරගන්න පුළුවන්. levels තුනේ හැම level එකේම core subjects 4ක් සහ capstone project එකක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේක level based තමයි මේ curriculum එක develop කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා ඔයගොල්ලෝ මුලින්ම core subjects ටික complete කරලා තමයි capstone එකට යන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි ඊළඟ level එකට progress වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක ගිය අපේ 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකකින් වෙනස් වෙන්නේ 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකේ අපි පිලර් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෙෂන් එකක් දීලා තිබුණා පල්ලෙහා level එකේ අදාළ පිලර් එකේ subject එක complete නම් ඊට උඩින් higher level එකේ තියෙන subject එක complete කරන්න පුළුවන් but මේ කරිකියුලම් එකේ තියෙන විශේෂත්වය මේක level based එකෙන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ව ඊළඟ level to level progression විදිහට තමයි කරිකියුලම් එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ so core modules ටික ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරලා මේ pillars හතරට අදාළ knowledge එක gather කරගෙන ඊට පස්සේ integrated knowledge එක අරගෙන capstone project එක complete කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි ඊළඟ level එකේ subject ටික complete කරන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ knowledge එක build up කරන්න. ඒ නිසා තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට progression එක දීලා තියෙන්නේ core modules complete කරලා capstone එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟ level එක attempt කරන්න. එතකොට ඒකට ඕන prerequisite මොනවද කියලා අපේ discussion එකේ ඉතුරු ටිකේදී අපි කතා කරනවා. මම තවත් දෙයක් කියන්න කැමතියි අපේ new curriculum structure, we have incorporated something called the enabling skill. As you know, the traditional accountant role, we had this financial accounting, uh, management accounting, risk control assurance, business environment, law, taxation pillar, which where we have all the technical knowledge delivered to the students, which is useful for them to perform as the duties as the accountant in the traditional accounting role. But with the new emerging trends in the market and the world, with related to the technological advancement as well as the aspects like sustainability and governance. So we are incorporating those to empower our students with those technical subjects. කියන්නේ theoretical subjects මේ core modules core pillars හතර යටතේ අපි technical subjects core modules ටික දෙනකොට මේ ලෝකේ අලුතෙන් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන digital skills technology එක වෙනස් වීමත් එක්ක AI data digital ඒ aspects එක ඇවිල්ලා digital skills data skills සහ sustainability skills governance skills කියන්නේ ethics related skills ඒ ඔක්කොම අලුත් මේ නවීන ලෝකෙට යන්න chartered accountant කෙනෙක්ට අවශ්‍ය වෙන skills ඒ හැම එකම enabling skills කියලා මේ කරිකියුලම් එක පුරාවටම මේ හැම සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් පුරාවටම අපි අන්තර්ගත කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතනවා ඇති අපි දැන් කොමොඩියුල්ස් කරන්න ඕනේ, කැප්ස්ටෝන් කරන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට අපි enabling skills උත් කරන්න ඕනේද, ඩිජිටල් සූට් එක කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම සමහර අයට පොඩි ඩවුට් එකක් තියෙනවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අපි අද ඒ ඩවුට් එකක් ක්ලැරිෆයි කරනවා කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලන් කෝ සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් ටික කම්ප්ලීට් කරගන්නේ, කොහොමද මේ ස්කිල්ස් ටික ඇක්වයර් කරගන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට මේ හැම කෝ මොඩියුල් එකක් ඇතුළෙම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ස්ටඩි පැක් එක ගත්තොත් ඔයගොල්ලන් ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් හෝ සිංහල මීඩියම් ෆස්ට් ලෙවල් එකේ තමිල් මීඩියම් කෝ සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් හතරටම ස්ටඩි පැක්ස් ඒ ස්ටඩි පැක් කන්ටෙන්ට් එක තියෙනවා business capstone corporate level and the strategic level will have all the English medium study text because the examination will be held in English medium. First, in the business level core modules, we are conducting the exams in all three media, and that will be a computer based exams uh, and which consist with the OTQ questions for you to attempt at each exam. So then we are talking when we are talking about the capstone, the main feature is the capstone is not an exam. Capstone එක කියන්නේ exam එකක් නෙමෙයි. Capstone එක කියන්නේ it's a project. එතකොට මේ අපේ curriculum එක structure කරලා තියෙන්නේ අවුරුදු 3ක කාලයක් ඇතුළත මේක complete කරගන්න. එතකොට මුල මාස 6 අපි plan කරනවා students ලාට core modules 4 ඉවර කරන්න. ඊළඟ මාස 6 plan කරනවා capstone project එකට involve වෙන්න. එතකොට core modules 4ට ඒ time එක spend කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ exam එක attempt කරන්න ඕනේ. ඊළඟට capstone project එකට එද්දි මුලින්ම ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ accountant කෙනෙක් වෙන්න අවශ්‍ය. chartered accountant කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන. skill set එක develop කරගන්න ඕන. එතකොට මොනවද මේ skills? leadership skills, business acumen, communication skills, problem solving skills, people skills මේ වගේ skills තියෙනවා ඕගොල්ලන්ට successful employee කෙනෙක් වෙන්න. successful business leader කෙනෙක් වෙන්න. successful career එකට යන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට මේ වගේ skill set එකක් වුණාද. ඊට අමතරව අපි හැමතිස්සෙම chartered accountant කෙනෙක් විදිහට CBA accountant කෙනෙක් විදිහට CCA accountant කෙනෙක් විදිහට trustworthy finance professional කෙනෙක් විදිහට වග කියන profession එකක්. එතකොට ඒක සපුරන්න අවශ්‍ය ethical aspect, governance aspect, integrity skills කියලා අපි හඳුන්වලා දීලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ skill set එක, power integrity skill set එක self learning mode එකෙන් තමයි අපි දෙන්නේ. ඒක ඕගලන්ට අපි enrollment අවුරුද්ද පුරාවම open කරලා තියෙනවා power and integrity skills වලට ඕනම වෙලාවක ඔයගොල්ලෝ study කරන level එකට අනුව ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් power and integrity skills වලට enroll වෙන්න. හැබැයි business capstone එකට apply කරද්දී corporate capstone එකට strategic capstone එකට apply කරද්දී අපි deadline provide කරලා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ දවසට ඉස්සෙල්ලා power and integrity skills complete කරොත් විතරයි ඔයගලන්ට exams වලට apply කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ කෝ මොඩියුල්ස් කරන අතරතුරේ හෝ කැප්ස්ටෝන් එකට ඉගෙන ගන්න අතරතුරේ ඔයගලන්ට power and integrity skills පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයගලන්ට වෙලාව තියෙන විදිහට ඔයගලන්ගේ convenience එක අනුව power and integrity courses skill suite එක complete කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේකේ වැඩි විස්තර කොහොමද power integrity වලට register වෙන්නේ, කොහොමද LMS එකට access ගන්නෙ, ඒ ඔක්කොම ටික අපේ කතාවේ ඉතුරු ටිකේදී අපි තවදුරටත් පැහැදිලි කරනවා. For the understanding of the whole, so when you are trying to do the business capstone, you have to first develop your skill sets. That skill set include the leadership, business acumen, problem solving, people skills, and the communication skills. So all those skills are required for you to be a competent chartered accountant, competent CBA accountant, or a competent CCA accountant. That's the middle level financial professional which we are looking at the end of corporate level. So that is the skill set we are. And in the capstone, apart from the skill development part, there will be a pre-seen and there will be an unseen. So the details will be explained in there later in this discussion. So this, so then previous in the capstone, apart from the power and integrity skills, there's the application expertise part, which is the paper-based examination, which we are focusing on. So that will be conducted in June and December. So the business capstone examination, final examination. Final examination contains two main components like verbal pitch as well as the final assessment. So those two will be happening in a two different timeline. uh, to go in for that verbal pitch as well as for the final examination, you have to do complete few steps. First, completing the power and integrity suit at your own pace. Second, you need to learn the content of the capstone. එතකොට මේ capstone කියන project එකට capstone කියන subject එකට වෙනමම curriculum එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ curriculum book එක බැලුවොත් ඒකට වෙනම study pack එකක් තියෙනවා capstone එකට, business capstone එකට, corporate capstone එකට, strategic capstone එකට. capstone තුනටම separate capstone study material එක තියෙනවා. ඒක soft version එකකින් හෝ hard copy විදිහට purchase කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ study material එකේ තියෙන content එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ study කරන්න ඕනේ එක්සෑම් එකට යන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඊට අමතරව මේ ඔක්කොම තියෙන content ඔයගලන්ගේ අර ඉගෙන ගන්න power and integrity skills වලට link කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට final paper එක final examination එක based වෙන්නේ මේ පොතේ මේ curriculum content එකේ තියෙන areas focus කරගෙන තමයි final exam එක focus කරන්නේ. එතකොට බිස්නස් කැප්ස්ටෝන් එකට අපි ගියොත් බිස්නස් කැප්ස්ටෝන් එක ફોකස් කරන්නේ එන්ට්‍රි ලෙවල් accountant කෙනෙක්ව ක්‍රියේට් කරන්න ඕනේ ඕවරෝල් knowledge එක ක්‍රියේට් කරන ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක විදියට. එතකොට එන්ට්‍රි ලෙවල් කෙනෙක් ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් කෙනෙක්ට අවශ්‍ය ස්කිල් සෙට් එක එන්ට්‍රි ලෙවල් ෆයිනෑන්ෂල් ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් කෙනෙක්ට අවශ්‍ය තියරටිකල් knowledge එක කොහොමද බිස්නස් ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එකක් සෝල්ව් කරගන්නේ කියලා අන්න ඒකට ඕන knowledge එක තමයි බිස්නස් කැප්ස්ටෝන් එකෙන් අපි දෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඕගලන්ට මේ දැන් ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ පේනවා බිස්නස් කැප්ස්ටෝන් එකේට අදාළව තියෙන learning area. Operation management, process improvement and efficiency, ඊළඟට data analytics and decision support for operation, technology and automation at the operational level, tactical execution, connecting the functional dot. මේකෙන් කියන්නේ කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලෝ business process එකක තියෙන processes interconnection අඳුනගන්නේ කොහොමද එක process එකකට තව process එකක් link කරන්නේ entry level accountant කෙනෙක්ට අවශ්‍ය knowledge එක දෙන්න තමයි මේ business capstone එකේ overall focus එක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. So then when we are going for the corporate capstone, that is focused on creating the middle level finance professional. That means a finance manager, senior accountant, accountant, that type of a role which we are looking at the corporate level. So at the corporate level, we have another curriculum content. So you can see in the screen, මේ screen එකේ පෙන්වන විදියට there will be another like 6 to 7 learning leads which you have to understand. So the first part is the business partnering through the strategic planning and execution, business function and leadership, data-driven financial analysis, technology innovation, risk management and compliance, event and execution, entrepreneurial mindset. එතකොට මෙතනදී අපි කතා කරනවා කොහොමද middle level financial professional කෙනෙක්ට අවශ්‍ය knowledge එක හදන්න කියලා. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා ඔයගොල්ලෝ study pack එක අරගෙන ඒකත් එක්ක ස්ටඩි කරන්න. එතකොට ඉන්ස්ටිටියුට් එකේ ඔන්ලයින් CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඔන්ලයින් එකදමි ඔෆිෂියල් YouTube channel එකෙන් අපි pre-scene analysis එක දානවා. pre-scene discussions කරනවා. ඒක ඔයගලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අවශ්‍ය කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් අපේ learning partner කෙනෙක් through ඔයගලන්ට class එකක් follow කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට අමතරව මේ study pack එක සහ මේ අපි free of charge ලබා දෙන YouTube channel එක follow කරලා ඔයගලන්ට knowledge එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. corporate සියලුම capstone වලට. ඊළඟට අපි strategic capstone එක focus කළොත් we are focusing on creating the C-suite level professional, if not the top level finance professional. So we are focusing on the areas which relating to the top level finance professional. So there also we have 8 learning leads like strategic thinking with finance expert, corporate risk management, corporate financial reporting and analysis. එතකොට මේ learning leads ගැන කිව්වට ඔයගොල්ලෝ බය වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මොකද මේක business level එකේ ඉඳලම progression එකක් විදිහට ටිකින් ටික develop වෙලා එන විදිහට තමයි capstone එකේ content එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට business capstone එකේදී ඔයගලන්ට basic knowledge එක, corporate capstone එකට යද්දී ඊළඟට ඕන ටිකක් advanced knowledge එකක්, strategic capstone එකට යද්දී advanced knowledge එක, top level එකට අවශ්‍ය advanced knowledge එක ලබා දෙන්න තමයි අපි capstone එක through බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ තව පොඩි කන්ෆියුෂන් එකක් මම දැකලා තියෙනවා ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස් ලාට තියෙනවා මොකද්ද මේ ඩිජිටල් එනේබලින් සූට්. එතකොට මේ ඩිජිටල් එනේබලින් සූට් එක මම කරිකියුලම් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක දැන් කියනකොට කිව්වා we have incorporate the enabling skills like digital data and the sustainability. එතකොට අපේ ස්ටඩි පැක්ස් වල ස්ටඩි කන්ටෙන්ට් එකේ කෝ මොඩියුල්ස් ඇතුලේ මේ ඩිජිටල් එනේබලින් සූට් එකට අදාළ තියරටිකල් පාර්ට් එක ඉන්ක්ලූඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට sustainability related, ඒ වගේම governance related, ethics, data, digital ඒවායේ theoretical part එක ඕගලන්ට syllabus content එක ඇතුළේ තියෙනවා. study pack එකේ theoretical part එක තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ core modules follow කරගෙන යද්දී ඕගලන්ට අවශ්‍ය practical hands on experience එක ගන්න තමයි digital enabling suite එක තියෙන්නේ. digital enabling suite එක කියන්නේ capstone එකේ කොටසක් නෙවෙයි. ඒක business level එකට, corporate level එකට, strategic level එකට අදාළ වෙන digital knowledge එක ඔයගලන්ට ගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ middle entry level accountant කෙනෙක් විදියට, middle level accountant කෙනෙක් විදියට, chartered accountant කෙනෙක් විදියට මාකට් එකට ගිහිල්ලා ආයතනයක වැඩ කරනකොට, කම්පැනි එකක වැඩ කරනකොට ඕගලන්ට ඕන වෙනවා technologically related knowledge එක competence එක IT savvy finance professional කෙනෙක් වෙන්න. අන්න ඒකට අවශ්‍ය hands on experience එක තමයි digital enabling suite එකෙන් දෙන්න. And that is not a part of the capstone. It is attached to the level where while you are studying for the core subject, you can follow the enabling suite just to get the hands on experience which we are explained in the theoretical manner in our study material. So එතකොට study material theoretical part එක බලනවා ඒකේ hands on part එක digital enabling එක බලනවා ඒකත් LMS එකෙන් තමයි so you can take and based on your study course again then will much so ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ පේනවා අපි දාලා තියෙන කොටස් levels තුනට අදාළව අපි provide කරන enabling skill suits තුනක්. එතකොට business level student කෙනෙක්ට digital enabling skill suit එක යටතේ අපි දෙනවා hands on experience ඒ කියන්නේ පොඩි video based lecture series එකක් එක්කලා introduction to the digital accounting system spreadsheet modeling for finance ඊළඟට BPM කියන්නේ business process management and robotic process automation. So those are the things which we and fundamentals of program. But if you are going to be a successful financial professional in the future, so you need to be conversant with these areas. That's why we have introduced this digital enabling suite. It's not a burden for you to complete your exam or any prerequisite, but during the time while you are studying for a particular level, you can complete this at your own pace just to get the hands-on experience and knowledge on how these things are getting operating and how it works. So the corporate level, we are focusing on the database management, introduction to ERP application, foundation data visualization like Power BI and everything. So for the strategic level, we are just focusing on giving the data science of finance, AI and digital transformation. At the moment also, you are using so many AI tools, digital platforms and everything. But when it comes to accounting, ඔයගලන්ට finance professional කෙනෙක් විදිහට market එකේ වැඩ කරන්න ගියාම ඕන වෙන data related, IT related knowledge එක පොඩි ස්නැප්ෂොට් එකකින් දෙන්න තමයි මේ digital enabling suite එක දීලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒක ඔයගලන්ට ඔයගලන්ගේ level එක study කරන ඕනම වෙලාවක කරන්න පුළුවන්. Completion එක විතරයි බලන්නේ. There's no any assessment incorporated in uh, for this particular digital enabling skills suite. ඕක තමයි overall කතාව අලුත් syllabus structure එක කොහොමද capstone එක ඇයි capstone project එක introduce කරේ capstone project එක කොහොමද වැඩ කරන්නේ මොකක්ද ඒකට යන කාලය සහ මොකක්ද enabling skills suite එක කියලා කියන්නේ එතකොට overall structure එක මම දුන්නා තව දුරටත් අපි in detail කතා කරමු මොනවද ඔයගලන්ට තියෙන specific problems සහ අපේ enrollment වලදී ඔයගලන්ට ඊළඟට exam process එකේ කොහොමද smoothly transition වෙන්නේ කියන එක කතා කරමු
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much,
much.
Miss Madhushi, for that holistic explanation and giving our students an understanding both in English as well as Sinhala. So, I think most of the questions about the purpose of introducing this capstone component into our curriculum is now clear. So, moving on to our next question. One that students are specially concerned about from a planning perspective, I'd say. So, what are the steps a student needs to follow in order to complete the capstone successfully from start to finish? So, where do they begin? What do they complete first? What learning components are involved? When does the verbal pitch happen? And what comes after that, and all of that? So, that question I would like to direct it to Mr. Kalhara.
Right, Sarah. So thank you. So actually, this is the most frequently asked question these days. So what is Capstone, and also what are the steps that you need to follow in order to complete this assessment? So there are two assessments. So I'm going to talk about how the Capstone works. So as Ms. Madhushi very correctly said, so I'm not going to talk about the whole curriculum structure at the moment. So I'm only going to focus on this Capstone, that particular module. So on our curriculum structure from business level to strategic level, so we have three capstones. So business level, actually, we are mainly focused on the application skills that actually that is required for an entry level accounting professional. And at the corporate level, we are looking at mid-level accounting professionals. So the skills and that application expertise that they need, in a practical environment. And when it comes to the strategic level, at the strategic capstone, so we are looking at a C-suite accounting leader. So this is the progression from business level to the strategic level. So right. So how capstone works, right? So in this case, among single to explain karana, and I will first do the explanation in English. So here under the capstone, in each and every level, so we have two assessments. The first one is the verbal pitch assessment, and the second one is the final capstone assessment. So here you can see as unseen assessment. So basically, in simple terms, verbal pitch is a presentation. Right? So basically, you have to do a presentation, and at the unseen, the final capstone assessment, so you have to face for a paper-based examination. right. So එතකොට මම පොඩ්ඩක් සිංහලෙන් පැහැදිලි කරන්නම්. අපි කැප්ස්ටෝන් ගත්තාම හැම ලෙවල් එකකම දැන් ඒ කියන්නේ බිස්නස් ලෙවල්, කෝපරේට් ලෙවල්, ස්ට්‍රැටජික් ලෙවල් ලෙවල්ස් තුනටම අපිට තියෙනවා කැප්ස්ටෝන්ස් තුනක්. එතකොට මේ කැප්ස්ටෝන්ස් වල ගත්තාම බේසිකලි තියෙන්නේ ඇසෙස්මන්ට්ස් දෙකයි. පළවෙනි ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එක තමයි verbal pitch assessment එක. එතකොට second assessment එක තමයි අපි කියනවා එතන unseen. ඒක unseen කියලා කියන්නේ එතන තියෙන්නේ paper based question, paper එකක් තමයි ඔයාලට හම්බෙන්නේ. ඔයාලට ඒක physical exam එකකදී answers කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට especially තවත් frequently අහන question එකක් තමයි overseas ඉන්න students ලට මේකට අපි facilitate කරනවද කියන එක paper එක ලියන්න. ඔව් ඒක facilitate කරනවා. overseas ඉන්න අයටත් ඒ paper එක attempt කරන්න පුළුවන්. right. එතකොට මම ඉස්සෙල්ලම ගත්තොත් verbal pitch and unseen presentation and the final capstone assessment. So basically those two assessment will based on a pre-scene. Pre-scene කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ඔයාලා දැන් අපේ වෙබ්සයිට් එකට ගියොත් ඔයාලට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් examination කියන page එකට යන්න. page එකේ අපි අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා තිනවා capstones කියන වෙනම special area එකක levels තුනට, ඒ කියන්නේ business, corporate and strategic කියන levels තුනට capstones තුනක් pre-scene තුනක් අපි අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි ඒක available කළේ 10th of March. එතකොට 10th of March ඉඳන් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ඒක ඒ pre-scene එක refer කරන්න සහ ඔයාලගේ main task එක වෙන්නේ, so you have to critically analyze those pre-scene documents. So, and below that, there is another document called verbal pitch document. So in each and every level, so you can see that verbal pitch document. So there we have given a kind of instructions. So how are you going to, prepare for this verbal pitch, and what is the expectation, and how do you, what are the expectations? I mean, the examiners, what they expect from this verbal pitch presentation. So all the details are there. So you can go there and refer those documents. හරිද? එතකොට එතන තියෙන pre-scene document එකත් එක්කම තියෙන තව link එකක් අපි upload කරලා තියෙනවා. verbal pitch එක සම්බන්ධ තියෙන document එකක්. ඒ document එකේ තියෙනවා සම්පූර්ණ detail එක. මොකද්ද මේ ඒ level එකෙන්, ඒ කියන්නේ business level, corporate level and strategic level කියන levels තුنين examiner කෙනෙක්ගේ perspective එකෙන් මොනවද එයාලා expect කරන්නේ, ඔයාලා කොහොමද pre-scene එක analyze කරන්න ඕනේ, pre-scene එක analyze කරලා ඔයාලගේ presentation එක ඔයාලා කොහොමද ඒක deliver කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. So basically for the business level and corporate level, you all have to do you all have to record the video by yourself and then upload into the LMS. බිස්නස් ලෙවල් කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් දෙකේදී වීඩියෝ එක ඔයාලම රෙකෝඩ් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයාලට රෙකෝඩ් කරලා ඔයාලට තියෙන එක අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න අපේ LMS එකට. And at the strategic level, so you have to do that presentation in front of a panel. ස්ට්‍රැටජික් ලෙවල් එකේදී පැනල් එකක් ඉස්සරහා ඔයාලට තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක කරන්න. එතකොට ඕක තමයි බේසිකලි verbal pitch කියන එකෙන් අපි මෙතන අපි ඔයාලගෙන් එක්ස්පෙක්ට් කරන්නේ. එතකොට එතනදී අපි බලන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයාලා ප්‍රීසීන් එක අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගෙන ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ අපිට ඒ කියන්නේ පේන්න තියෙන දේ නෙමෙයි, එතන ඇත්තටම හිඩන් දෙයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔපරේෂනල් පැත්තෙන් සහ මේ පැත්තෙන් තියෙන මොකක් හරි ඉෂුව එක ඔයාලා අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරන්න ඕනේ ප්‍රීසීන් එක ක්‍රිටිකලි ඇනලයිස් කරලා. ඒ අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගත්ත ඉෂුව එක එතකොට බිස්නස් ලෙවල් එක ගැන මම ස්පෙસિෆිකලි කිව්වොත් බිස්නස් ලෙවල් එකේ ඔයාලට දීලා තියෙනවා සිනාරියෝස් 5ක්. එතකොට යන්නේ සිනාරියෝස් 5. So you all have to read those scenarios. ඒ සිනාරියෝස් වලින් කියනවා කොයි ඒරියාස්ද ඔයාලා රීඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ, කොතනදීද ඔයා අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගන්න ඕනේ මෙතන තියෙන මොකද්ද ඉෂුව එක කියන එක. right? ඒක අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩ් කරගෙන තමයි ඒ සිනාරියෝ එකෙන් ඔයා සිනාරියෝ එකක් සිලෙක්ට් කරගෙන ඒ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. සහ ඊට පස්සේ කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් එකට ආවොත් so there are 3 cues. අපි cues තුනක් දීලා තියෙනවා. So based on those 3 cues you have to plan your verbal pitch, that presentation. And at the strategic level, you normally we don't give you a cue or scenarios. එතකොට A level එකේදී ඔයාලා ඒක issue එක identify කරගෙන ඔයාලගේ solution එකේ pre-scene එක critically analyze කරලා you have to present that. So basically that is the verbal pitch. And when it comes to the so verbal pitch, there will be a pass mark. So when you pass that assessment, the verbal pitch assessment, so then you will be eligible for the unseen or the final capstone assessment. Unseen means the final paper-based assessment. So there are a few things that I think Ms. Angelika will, she will cover that part in her presentation. So එතකොට මෙතනදී දැන් මේ capstone එක ගැන අපි එතන කතා කරද්දී තව ස්පෙෂල් දෙයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක කොහොමද available වෙන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට අපි 2026 ඒ කියන්නේ මේ year එකේදී අපි basically exam sessions දෙකක් කරනවා June and December. So එතකොට June කියන examination session එකට අපි දැනටම මම හිතන්නේ communications we have released, and in those communications so we have mentioned so what are the deadlines for the verbal pitch and how to submit the verbal pitch, that presentation. And so we have different deadlines for the business level, corporate level, and the strategic level. So those things are there. I think so our team, they will share those communications to the chat box as well, so you can go and refer them. So basically හැම exam session එකේදීම June and December කියන exam sessions වලදී අපි unseen paper එක, ඒ කියන්නේ paper based දෙන question paper එක අපි ඔයාලට දෙන්නේ June and December කියන ඒ final exam session එකේදී. එතකොට සති 15කට sorry 15කට කලින් අපි රිලීස් කරන ඔයාලට pre-scene එක. එතකොට June වල තියෙන exam එකට අදාළ pre-scene එක අපි 10th March අපි රිලීස් කළා. එතකොට ඒක බේස් කරගෙන තමයි, ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා ඒකේ full understanding එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊට අමතරව මිස් මදුෂි ඔයාලට explain කරා වගේ වෙනම study material එකක් තියෙනවා. මොකද we have identified the relevant learning leads and learning outcomes for those different levels, business and corporate or the strategic levels. So based on that we have developed those study materials. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට මේ study material එකේ තියෙන, මොකද අපි study material එකේ ඔයාලා දකින්න ඇති learning outcomes වලදී basically operational side එක, operational management, analytics ඔය වගේ ඒ ටිකක් cover කරනවා. එතකොට ඒකේ තියෙන knowledge එක ඔයාලට ඕනේ මේ කියන assessment දෙක, verbal pitch assessment and the final capstone assessment කියන දෙකම කරන්න. right. එතකොට ඕක තමයි verbal pitch කියන එකෙන් අපි mainly මොකක්ද අපි ඔයාලගෙන් expect කරන දේ. එතකොට අපි දැන් යනවා final capstone assessment, නැත්නම් අපි ඒකට කියනවා unseen කියලා. එතකොට unseen කියලා කියන අපි එතන හේතුවක් තියෙනවා. මොකද pre-scene කියලා අපි ඔයාලට ඉස්සෙල්ලාම available කරනවා levels 3ට වෙනම documents 3ක්. ඒක අපි ඔයාලට දෙන්නේ imaginary base, ඒ කියන්නේ imagine කරපු companies 3ක් base කරගෙන ඒ company එකේ කොහොමද company එකේ structure එක, එයාලා productions කරන්නේ කොහොමද, සහ ඔය වගේ සම්පූර්ණ ලොකු විස්තරයක් තියෙනවා. ඔයාලට ඒක කියවහම තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකක්ද අපි එතනින් දීලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට unseen කියන එකෙන් කියන්නේ it's a kind of like extension for the pre-scene. Pre-scene එකේ අපි කතා කරපු full ඒ detail එකෙන්ම unseen එකේදී වට හම්බ වෙනවා ඒ company එකේ වෙච්ච change එකක් ගැන හරි නැත්නම් වෙන මොකක් හරි scenario එකක් base කරගෙන ඔයාට එතනින් questions basically අපි එතන දෙනවා හතරක්. ඒ questions හතරට allocate වෙනවා 25 marks each හම්බ වෙන questions හතරක් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපි ඔයාලා කරිකියුලම් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක දැක්කනම් ඔයාලා දකින්න ඇති අපි ට්‍රයැන්ගල් එකක් යූස් කරලා තිබ්බා කැප්ස්ටෝන් එකේ මොකද්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ what are the content එක දාන්න අපි දීලා තිබ්බා triangle එකක්. So in that triangle you can see power and integrity skills that those skills suit in the base of that triangle and then the application expertise. එතකොට power and integrity කියන එක so it's kind of like inseparable. So you can't separate it from the capstone assessments. මොකද ඒ කියන skills වල දැන් අපි ඔයාලට LMS access එකක් දීලා මම හිතන්නේ Miss Angelika she will cover that area as well. එතනදී අපි කියන power and integrity කියන එක සම්පූර්ණයෙන් මේ කියන assessments දෙකත් එක්ක interconnect වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒක ඔයාලා නිකන් go through කරන්න එපා. එතකොට ඒකේ full understanding එක ගන්න power skills ගත්තාම පහක් තියෙනවා. integrity skills තුනක් තියෙනවා. ඔයාලා full understanding එක ගන්න ඕනේ. මොනවද ඒකේ තියෙන content එක? ඒක හොඳට understand කරගෙන තමා verbal pitch assessment and final capstone assessment කියන දෙකට යන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට at the final capstone assessment, so in the paper itself, so you will get a rubric. So in that rubric, so we are going to tell you, right. So the first question, so we are going to test this, what you call enabling and technical, that aspect. And also we are going to give you a hint like, so in this question, so we are going to test these specific power and integrity skills. අන්න එතන තමයි power and integrity that comes into play. එතකොට එතනදී ඔයාලා බලන්න ඕනේ right. මේ question එකට ඔයාලා answers දෙද්දි ඔයාලා අර videos බලලා LMS එකේදී ගත්ත knowledge එක ඒ paper එකේ ඔයාලා demonstrate කරන්න ඕනේ. So you have to demonstrate that part. ඔයාලා ඒක demonstrate කරනකොට so you will get marks. ඒ තියෙන rubric එක අපි mention කරලා තියෙනවා මෙන්න right. So this is the power and integrity skills that you have to demonstrate in this question number 1. Then there is a separate column saying that right, so you will get this much of marks for this particular question. So likewise we have 4 questions in the unseen paper, right? So basically this is the structure of the capstone, right? So this is the basically those are the steps. So I think Sarah, what
Yes, sir. So, students, a quick reminder. So, we encourage all of you to give your fullest attention to the presentation presented by our panelists because that answers, I think, most of the frequently asked questions and the most significant components relating to Capstone. But still, during the presentation, if you have any clarifications that are not addressed by the presentation, please feel free to drop them into the chat box. Meanwhile, thank you very much, Kalhara, for explaining the steps during this process. But we would like to also know, apart from these steps, now there are few prerequisites when it comes to starting your capstone. So, the curriculum makes it clear that the capstone sits at each level as an integrated component of progression, and transitional arrangements also include that completion status of prior modules matter when determining how students move into the new structure. So I would like to ask Mr. Kalhar back again, what exactly must students complete before starting BCAP, CCAP or SCAP, and whether there are any level specific requirements that students need to be aware of in advance?
Yes, so in that process, actually, so when it comes to business and strategic level, so I think very recently we did this communication for the business and strategic level. So you have to complete all the core modules relevant to that level. So that is the first thing that you have to do. So at the business and strategic level. So here in the process, so generally I will tell you the general guidelines. So during this process, you have to complete the core modules. Then while you are completing those core modules, then you can parallelly attempt power and integrity skills. Right? එතකොට ඔයාලට පුළුවන් අපි මං හිතන්නේ කමියුනිකේෂන් එකක් කරා ඔයාලට power and integrity skills කියන සූට් එක කොහොමද ඔයාලා ගන්න ඕනේ කියන එක ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ඒකේ access එක අරගෙන ඒකේ videos බලන ගමන් ඔයාලගේ core modules තව pending තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාලට ඒව complete කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ complete කරන ගමන් power skills and integrity skills සූට් එකේ තියෙන self assessments ඔයාලට complete කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒ ටික ඔයාලට කරගෙන යන ගමන් එතකොට මං කිව්වා ජූන් and ඩිසෙම්බර් කියන sessions වලදී තමයි මේ අවුරුද්දේ අපි final unseen paper එක නැත්නම් final capstone assessment එක අපි කරන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ කරගෙන අපි එතනට යද්දී එතකොට දැන් මෙතන එන main step එක තමයි first assessment එක verbal pitch assessment එක ඒක general rule එක විදිහට ගන්න පුළුවන් verbal pitch assessment එක කරද්දී ඔයාලා power and integrity skills සූට් එකේ තියෙන skills ඔක්කොම complete කරලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ ඊට පස්සේ තමා ඔයාලට අපි verbal pitch එකට face කරන්න දෙන්නේ assessment එකට but this time we gave a concession actually so you can complete your power and integrity skills suit so I think we allowed till 10th of May. Yes, 10th of May. So you all can go ahead and do that power and integrity skill suit those self assessments. හැබැයි general rule එක විදිහට from for the December capstone assessments ඔයාලට verbal pitch එකට කලින් power and integrity ටික complete කරන්න වෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයාලට පුළුවන් දැම්ම ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා ඩිසෙම්බර් වල capstone කරන්න plan කරන් ඉන්නවා නම් ඔයාලට පුළුවන් දැන්ම power and integrity skill suit එකට apply කරන්න apply කරලා access අරගෙන ඔයාලට දැන්ම start කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාලගේ pending තියෙන core modules එක්ක power and integrity කරගෙන යන්න. එතකොට ඒක complete කර ඒ කියන්නේ අපි එතකොට pre-scene එක release කරනවා. pre-scene එක release කරනවා මම අර කිව්වා වගේ සති 15කට කලින් unseen paper එකට ඒ කියන්නේ ජූන් and එතකොට ඩිසෙම්බර් තියෙන unseen paper එකට සති 15කට කලින් රිලීස් කරාම දැන් බොහෝ විට ඕගස්ට් සෙප්ටැම්බර් වෙද්දී ඔයාලට හම්බ වෙනවා ඩිසෙම්බර් තියෙන unseen paper එකේ අපි කියනවා pre-scene එක. එතකොට ඔයාලට ඩිසෙම්බර් එකට ඒ විදිහට රෙඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අපි කියනවා දැන් මේ assessment දෙකක් තියෙනවා. assessment දෙකේදී verbal pitch assessment එක ඔයාලා successfully complete කරොත් ඒ required mark එක achieve කරොත් තමයි ඔයාලට පුළුවන් unseen paper එක නැත්තම් next step එක final capstone assessment එකට progress වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මම හිතන්නේ මිස් අංජලිකා ඔයාලට explain කරයි මේක ඔයාලා එක මේකක් හරි ඒ කියන්නේ unsuccessful වුණොත් verbal pitch එකක් then you will get another attempt for the verbal pitch then you all can move into the final capstone assessment so that is the basically the process.
So also, Mr. Kalhara, during this process, if you can also explain about the prerequisites that are required for to start each and every capstone at every level.
Yes. For so basically I said that at the curriculum development so we had that actually the thought process so students they have to complete all the core modules and then the power and integrity skill suit and then they have to do those capstone assessments but actually we gave a special concession for the corporate level students for the corporate level students now let's say if they have two pending subjects or one pending subjects according to the curriculum structure so we have four core modules at the corporate level now let's say if they have two pending subjects or one pending subjects so we are allowing them to attempt the capstone assessments parallelly so that is the special concession එතකොට ඒ special concession එක මම ආයි සිංහලෙනුත් ඔයාලට explain කරන්නම් ඒ special concession එක තියෙන්නේ ඔයාලට corporate level එකේ එක්සෑම්ස් වලට ෆේස් කරන ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස්ලට විතරයි. එතකොට ස්පෙෂල් කන්සෙෂන් එකේදී ඔයාලගේ ඔයාලා කරිකියුලම් එකේ ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකේ විදිහට දැන් ඔයාලා 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකේ නම් 2025 කරිකියුලම් එකට ප්‍රෝග්‍රස් වුණා නම් එතකොට 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකේ තියෙන ඔයාලට සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් 4යි. එතකොට ඒ සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් 4ට 2025 කරිකියුලම් එකේ තියෙන සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් 4 ඩිරෙක්ට්ලි මැප් වෙනවා. එතකොට එතනදී ඔයාලා 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකේ 2020 කරිකියුලම් එකේ විදිහට සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් දෙකක් නැත්නම් තුනක් කම්ප්ලීට් කරලා තියෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒ කම්ප්ලීට් කරලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ ඔටෝමැටිකලි ඔයා 2025 කරිකියුලම් එකේ සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් දෙකක් නැත්නම් තුනක් කම්ප්ලීට් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒකත් එක්ක ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ඇටෙම්ප්ට් කරන්න capstone assessment parallel. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකත් එක්කම එකට කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මෙතනදී අපි ස්පෙෂල් දෙයක් කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කොහොම වුණත් ඔයාලා power and integrity skill suit එකේ 50% mark score කරලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ verbal pitch assessment එකට eligible වෙන්න නම්. right? ඒක ඒ rule එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ rule එක it's retained. So you have to obtain minimum of 50% in the power and integrity skill suit self-assessment to eligible for the verbal pitch assessment under the corporate level. එතකොට ඒක තමා so those are the prerequisites. So for the business and strategic level, there are no changes actually from the original structure. So you have to complete all the core module subjects and then you have to obtain the 50% that minimum mark for the power and integrity skill suit. Then you all can attempt the verbal pitch assessment and the final capstone assessment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara, for explaining that. So now the prerequisites to sit for capstone modules under each of the levels are quite clear right now. So that allows us to move into our next frequently asked question that is very closely linked to the capstone experience. So the curriculum gives a strong emphasis to power skills and integrity skills. It identifies power skills such as communication, leadership, problem solving, business acumen, as well as people skills, and also integrity skills such as ethical leadership, professional judgment, and strong public interest. So this shows that these are not separate from your capstone experience, but it is integrated to it. So the next question I would like to direct it to Miss Angelika. What exactly is power and integrity skills suit, and how should students complete it, and how does it connect to the capstone? So students often hear these terms, but they are not fully in understanding whether it is a separate requirement, a supporting requirement, or something assessed together with the capstone. So it would be useful if you could explain the relationship clearly between power skills and integrity skills and how it connects to the capstone.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Hope I'm audible to everyone. So, as Sarah correctly said, yes, there is a small confusion that most of the students, they know that there are two assessments called the verbal pitch and the final capstone assessment. But most of them have missed this power and integrated skill suit. So if I start from the beginning, previously under curriculum 2020, there were two skill pillars. First one is the communication skills and the other one is IT skills. So under curriculum 2025, this is the skill suit we have introduced, which is called power and integrity skill suit, apart from the digital and data skill suit. So this one, I must clearly say that this is not a replacement for IT courses and the CS courses which we used to deliver under curriculum 2020. May power and integrity skill suit එක කියන්නේ course එකට replacement එකක් නෙවෙයි. So everyone who are moving ahead with the capstone assessment focusing June or the December or the examination cycle, their first step is this power and integrity skill suit. So they need to register with this power and integrity. And while registering for this power and integrity and while studying this skill suit, they can move ahead with the verbal pitch registration. This power and integrity skills, we are covering 5 power skill areas: communication, leadership, problem solving, business acumen, people skills, and 3 integrity skills areas: ethical leadership, professional judgment, and strong public interest, as you can see on the screen. මේ power skills 5කුයි integrity skills 3කුයි තියෙනවා. So the delivery method of this power and integrity skill suit is via the CS Sri Lanka LMS as video lectures. So we will be providing materials, video lectures, and also the PowerPoint presentation materials, likewise for our students to study. So we are expecting, so our expectation is to deliver this as a self-study skill suit. Self-study skill suit means students can study these skill modules as per their convenient. They can they can study these things when they can have their own arrangement, own planning to complete this power ගන්න පුළුවන්. And the other thing is this power and integrity skill suit is a self-assessed skill suit. So self-assessed means we are giving you LMS based MCQ questions, OTQ questions. In the curriculum, we call those questions as objective test questions. So what you need to do is, first of all, refer the given study materials, video lectures, and take the questions. So we have given the opportunity for students to take multiple attempts until they succeed. Make a self-assessed skill suit එකක් කියන්නේ අපි මේක ඔයගලන්ට LMS එක through deliver කරන්නේ video lectures තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ video lectures ඔයගලන්ට පහසු වෙලාවෙදී refer කරන්න පුළුවන් සහ ඒ දේලා තියෙන assessments LMS එකෙන් තියෙන MCQ questions quizzes ඒවා ඔයගලන්ට පහසු විදිහට අරගෙන ඔයගලන් ඒක success වෙනකන් ඔයාලට multiple attempts ගන්න පුළුවන්. Power and integrity skill suit එක හරිම convenient arrangement එකකින් තමයි අපේ students ලට දෙන්නේ ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරන skill knowledge එක ගන්න. ඒ ගන්න skill knowledge එක තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ apply කරන්න ඕන pre-seen case study එකට සහ final unseen examination එකට. So for business level students, there is a combination of 80% technical knowledge and 20% skill knowledge to be applicable in your verbal pitch assessment and the final examination. And for a corporate level students, it's 70% technical knowledge and 30% skill knowledge. And for a strategic level student, it's 60% technical and 40% skill knowledge. So the ones who have registered with this power and integrity skill suit, we will be sending you the LMS access and the instructions via an email. And this slide on the screen, it shows that we have already opened the applications for this June power and integrity skill suit registrations. So what you need to do is you need to register yourself if you are planning to take the June capstone. And the other thing is those who are planning to take that capstone assessment, which means the verbal pitch and final examination in December examination cycle, still you can take the power and integrity and you can complete it within June. That completion is valid for December. මේ power and integrity skill suit එකේ අපි applications open කරලා තියෙන examination එක register වෙලා power and integrity skill suit එක study කරන්න පටන් ගන්න. එතකොට මේ power and integrity suit එක මේක parallelly කරන්න පුළුවන් core modules එක්ක. දැන් verbal pitch එකට යනකොට core module complete වෙලා තියෙන්න ඕන කියලා requirement එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි power and integrity skill suit එකට there's no such requirement. You can take power and integrity parallel to the core modules. එතකොට power and integrity එක ජූන් අරගන්න කෙනෙක් එයා plan කරනවා නම් verbal pitch එකයි final examination එකයි December ගන්න. ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේ ජූන් power and integrity complete කරන්න පුළුවන්. complete කරලා ඒ completion එක December examination එකට valid. එතකොට ඒ තමයි power and integrity skill suit එක සම්බන්ධව registration එක සහ briefly මම කිව්වොත් ඊට පස්සේ අපි බලමු කොහොමද අපි මේ power and integrity skill suit එක LMS එකෙන් deliver කරන්න කියලා. එතකොට දැන් තවත් අපේ students ලා අතරේ there's a small misconfusion that we are using the same LMS which we all previously used to deliver our communication skills and other technical subjects under curriculum 2020, but it is not the LMS that we are using to deliver this power and integrity and digital and data skills. So this is the delivery platform CA Sri Lanka new LMS learn.casrilanka.com. ඔගොල්ලෝ රෙජිස්ටර් වෙන්න රෙජිස්ටර් වුණාට පස්සේ අපෙන් ඔක්කොම ඩීටේල්ස් තියෙන ඊමේල් එකක් ඔයාලට එනවා. මේ ඊමේල් එකේ අපි මෙන්ෂන් කරලා තියෙනවා LMS එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද ඇක්සස් කරන්නේ, LMS එකේ ලින්ක් එක මොකක්ද සහ මේ LMS එකට ලොග් වෙන්න you need CA Sri Lanka student email account. So that student email account is creating by us. So that is a Microsoft account. So we are giving you the credentials, username and password for you to log into that LMS, and we have given all the instructions step by step කොහොමද successfully register වෙලා තමන්ගේ learning platform එක weave කරන්න කියන එක ගැන හැම instruction එකක්ම අපි මේ email එකේ ඔයගලන්ට දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉන්නේ email එක කියවලා ඔයගලන්ට log වෙලා study materials refer කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක තමයි LMS එක ගැන තියෙන අප්ඩේට් එක සහ අපි මේ ස්ටඩි මැටීරියල්ස් ඔක්කොම අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා ඉවර කරනවා 31st මේ වෙනකොට. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට ඒ ටික ඔක්කොම බලලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. sorry 31st March sorry 31st March වෙනකොට ඔක්කොම materials upload කරනවා. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට ඒක බලලා Mr. කල්හාර කියපු විදිහට එතන තියෙන MCQ questions ඒ ටික කරලා ඔයගලන්ට යන්න පුළුවන් verbal pitch assessment එකට. එතකොට එකම දේ අපි ඒ හැම අප්ඩේට් එකක්ම ඔයගලන්ට CA ශ්‍රී ලංකා emails වලින් ඔයාලට එවනවා. emails බලන්න අපි ඔක්කොම timely inform කරනවා. ඒක තමයි power and integrity skill suit එක සහ delivery platform එක. අපි දැන් බලමු verbal pitch assessment එක. එතකොට verbal pitch assessment එකේ අපි දැන් applications open කරලා තියෙනවා. application timeline එක වෙන්නේ March 17th to March 27th. March 27th තමයි deadline එක. මේ ජූන් exam cycle එකේ capstone එක කරන student කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් දැන් ඉක්මනින් verbal pitch එකට register වෙන්න. verbal pitch එකට register වෙන්න you don't need to complete that power and integrity. Registration is enough, and also you need to fulfill that core module requirement. Verbal pitch payments ගත්තොත් අපි ඔයගලන්ට screen එකේ බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. For BCAP verbal pitch it's 3,000. For CCAP it's 3,500. For SCAP it's 6,500. So for the students who are doing a verbal pitch in BCAP and CCAP, submission mode is a video presentation to be submitted via LMS. And for the strategic level students, they need to submit their slides deck, which means the PowerPoint presentation to LMS by 20th 20th April, and they need to present their verbal pitch in an interactive presentation mode. So that will be conducted in front of a panel of assessors. So you will be given a time slot in between 20th April to 30th April. So what you need to do is come to CA Sri Lanka and do the presentation. And the other thing is, those who are in overseas, we will be facilitating you the online presentation facility similar to other examinations. So that is about verbal pitch assessment. And please take the pre-scene case study given on the website and start working on the verbal pitch assessment. And those who are successful in the verbal pitch assessment are qualified for the final zone capstone examination. Verbal pitch එක successfully pass වෙන අය eligible වෙනවා zone examination එකට. එතනදී අපි හිතමු කෙනෙක් unsuccess වුණොත් එතනදී අපි එක re-attempt එකක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට දෙනවා. 7 days time period එකක් දෙනවා. ආයෙ prepare වෙලා ඇවිල්ලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට presentation එක කරන්න. B cap and C cap නම් LMS එකෙන් submit කරන්න, S cap නම් presentation එක interactive presentation එකක් විදිහට submit කරන්න. ඒක තමයි අපි දීලා තියෙන verbal pitch assessment arrangement එක.
Thank you very much, Angelika, for explaining that. We have a quick question from a strategic level student asking if SCAP, it says that it's an interactive session for the verbal pitch. The student asks whether there will be a Q&A or just the presentation in front of a live panel.
Yes, Sarah. Miss Madhushi will answer to that question.
Yes, Sarah, the business and corporate dimensions record the strategic level. The verbal pitch will be happen as an interactive presentation session. So the local candidates has to present at the institute in front of a panel of members who are consisted with some seniors. So they have to present their presentation. So there will be a Q&A. For the overseas candidates, the similar panel will be available in a virtual basis. So the Q for their presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Madhushi, for clarifying that, and I hope that answered the students. So the takeaway is that there will be a Q&A session. That is exactly why it is called an interactive verbal pitch for the strategic capstone. So with that, we move on to our next question, and I would like to direct it to Ms. Angelika, and that is relating to transitioning from the previous curriculum. So the transitional arrangements in the curriculum show direct mappings between the old and new structures. They specifically list CS and IT modules within the transition notes. For an example, business level CS1, CS2, and IT3 appear in the mapping note linked to the completion requirements around business capstone. So similarly, corporate level CS3 and IT2 are listed, and strategic level CS4 and IT3 are listed. So the curriculum also notes that students who have completed all knowledge and skills module at the relevant level under the curriculum 2020 are considered to have completed the respective level under the new curriculum. So could you please explain, Ms. Angelika, this clearly to our students? What exemptions of transitional recognition are available for students who have completed CS and IT modules under the previous curriculum 2020? And more specifically, what should such students understand in their position in relation to the capstone under the new curriculum?
Yes, Sarah. This is actually one of the frequently receiving questions to me. So most of the students are asking that we have completed this communication course and this IT course, so what are the exemptions? So this document, this is one of the student communications we have shared. So this shows the exemptions which we are giving for communication skills courses that you have completed. So those in business level, those who have completed CS1 and CS2, they are exempted from the communication skills module under power skills. That is the only exemption. And those who have completed CS3, they are exempted from the communication skills module under CCAP power and integrity skills suite. And those who have completed CS4, they are exempted from the communication skills module in SCAP power and integrity skills suite. And in strategic levels, students who have completed both CS4 and skill development program conducted by the practical training division, they are exempted from full power and integrity skill suite. And also, students are asking, what is the exemption application process for this? So I must say that there's no such special exemption application process. What you need to do is you need to register, and we will be internally verifying whether you have completed those communication skill courses. And even though you are exempted from said communication skill module, we are giving you the materials for you to refer and apply that knowledge. So since you are exempted, we are not going to count your online LMS quiz completion for this said communication skill module. මේක මම සිංහලනොත් එක්ස්පලයින් කරොත් බිස් exemptions කියන දේ මේ transitional provisions අපි මේක student communication එකක් විදිහටත් release කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට business level students ලා CS1 and CS2 මේ දෙකම complete කරලා තියෙනවා නම් CS1 විතරක් නෙවෙයි 1 2 දෙකම complete වෙන්න ඕන. complete වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට BCAP power and integrity skill suite එකේ communication skill module එක exempt වෙනවා. එතකොට corporate level student කෙනෙක් CS3 එක complete කරලා තියෙනවා නම් එයාට CCAP power and integrity skill suite එකෙන් communication skill module එක exempt වෙනවා. එතකොට strategic level එකේ CS4 complete කරලා තියෙන කෙනෙක් නම් එයාට SCAP power and integrity skill suite එකේ තියෙන communication skills module එක exempt වෙනවා. එතකොට strategic level එකේ CS4 course එකට අමතරව skill development program එක මේ දෙකම complete වෙලා ඉන්න කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් එයාට power and integrity skill suite එක fully exempted. එතකොට එහෙම කෙනෙක්ට verbal pitch එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට එකම දේ තවත් question එකක් තමයි students ලා අහන exemption application process එක මොකක්ද කියන එක. එතකොට මේ එහෙම special exemption application process එකක් නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ apply කරන්න. එතකොට verbal pitch එකට යන්න අපි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ completion එක eligibility එක මේ දේවල් බලනකොට අපි internally verify කරනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ completion එක කොහොමද කියන එක.
Miss Angelica, we also have another question relating to this the skills development program. If you can exactly explain what is exactly the skills development program, because many students have a question around what it is and whether they have completed it. So yes, Miss Madhushi, if you can answer that question.
Yes, Sarah. So under the new curriculum 2020-2025, that is the previous curriculum, so there was a skill development program which is a prerequisite to complete the Viva. That is for the strategic level students, which we have conducted. The program was conducted by the Student Training Division. So if any of the strategic level students who have participated for that 2-day programs, the skill development programs, so they can claim this transitional provision for the 5 hour skill module, along with if they have completed the CS4 course. This is not the upskilling program which we have conducted for the corporate business. This is for the skill you are doing a presentation at the end of the program. So which is the skill development program? I think it is known to the strategic level students. Maybe the business and corporate level students are not much aware about what it is. But for the strategic level, previous syllabus and completed the skill development program plus the CS4 you from the power skill suite. And if you have done the IT2 also, IT3 also, then the so that relevant exemption will be granted. Actually, this is not a kind of a exemption. This is a transitional. What you have gathered in previous curriculum, that knowledge you are bringing from the prior learning will be considered and credited for the new curriculum. So there won't be any exemption application process happening, like mentioned by the Angelica. So this is the transitional provision. So for the core modules also, the similar will be recognition will be there for the previously completed subjects, which is similar to the subject for some extent in the new curriculum. So you will be credited for your prior learning. So I hope I have cleared the details relating to the skill development.
And also, Miss Madhushi, I have another quick question for you from a student. He says, are students who have completed the business level core subjects under the the old curriculum 2020 during February and are awaiting their results, are they eligible to sit for BCAP examinations in June, even though their examination results are pending?
So, our advice is like this: if you are pending with one or two subjects and you are having a kind of sure, please enroll to the verbal pitch if you wish to do your own exam. However, the institute will facilitate all the students who have complete their business level examination under previous curriculum in February and waiting for the results. So even the closing date have been given the 10th April for the verbal pitch submission. So that batch specifically will be facilitated to attempt the verbal pitch with the extended timeline that is only applicable for the those who have sat for the business level exam in the February exam and waiting for the results. And for the rest of the students who have done the business level exam in previous examination, so you have to apply for the verbal pitch application before 27th March and submit the verbal pitch before 10th of April.
So the same student has another follow-up question. So will it be the same deadline date to upload their verbal pitch? Will it be the same deadline date, which is 10th of April?
That will be favorably considered, facilitating the adequate time upon receiving your result. So that segment, that category of the students will be communicated by the skill development division with the specific deadlines and the additional provisions if we are providing, the additional time if we are providing. So those students will be communicated directly to facilitate this verbal pitch and the verbal submission process.
Thank you very much, Miss Madhushi, and I hoped it answered the student's question. And with that, there are certain students who do not understand Sinhala who have joined the platform right now. Don't worry. So everything that we explained in Sinhala will be explained and was explained in English as well. So you didn't miss anything. Don't worry about that. So the next question, and it is a question we receive very often from students who are trying to plan their studies realistically. So, can students do their capstone together with other subjects at business, corporate, and strategic level? Now, since students are trying to balance their study schedules, workload, and progression as well, it would be useful if the panel and especially Mr. Kalhara could explain whether the capstone is meant to be taken on its own or whether it can be run alongside other modules and what could be the most practical and advisable approach for students at each level.
Yes, Sarah. So I think I previously covered this one. So I think for the same, I think we did a communication as well. So I'm repeating the same again for the understanding. So the business level and the strategic level. So the rule, there are no any changes. So you have to complete all the core module subjects, and then you have to attempt the those power and integrity self assessment, those skill suit, and then you have to start with the verbal pitch assessment, which is the first assessment under the capstone under business and strategic level. So under the corporate level, so as I said before, so if we have already completed, let's say, two subjects or three subjects, so then you have two or one remaining subjects under the subject or subjects under the corporate level. So then you can parallelly attempt the capstone verbal pitch and the final capstone assessment. But before you attempt the verbal pitch assessment, you have to complete all the power and integrity skill, those self-assessment. But for this June session, so we have given that concession. You can complete power and integrity skills with those skills by 10th of May. And for the December examination session, of course, you have to complete those power and integrity skill, so those self-assessment prior to the verbal pitch assessment submission. මම සිංහලනුත් පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්නම්. එතකොට business level and strategic level කියන levels දෙකේදී අපි ඉනිශියලි කියන්නේ කරිකියුලම් එක ඩිවලප් කරද්දී ඒ තිබ්බ thought process එක විදිහටම තමයි කියන්නේ ඒක කිසිම change එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ change එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ business and strategic level වලදී ඔයාලා complete කරන්න ඕනේ core modules හතරක් තියෙනවා. ඒ හතර complete කරලා ඒත් එක්කම ඔයාලට power and integrity skills කියන skill suit එකේ self assessment එක complete කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන රික්වයර්මන්ට්ස් දෙකම කම්ප්ලීට් නම් තමයි ඔයාලට verbal pitch ඒ කියන්නේ first capstone assessment එකට application අපිට එවන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට corporate level එකේ capstone එකට විතරක් අපි concession එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ concession එක තමයි ඔයාලා දැනටම subjects දෙකක් නැත්නම් subjects තුනක් complete නම් එතකොට ඔයාලට subject දෙකක් නැත්නම් එක subject එකක් pending තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාලට ඒ subjects එක හරි නැත්නම් දෙකත් එක්ක හරි capstone assessment parallelly attempt කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි එතනදිත් තියෙන රූල් එක තමයි ඔයාලා power and integrity skill අර self assessment complete කරන්න ඕනේ verbal pitch එකට කලින්. එතකොට එතනත් අපි ඔයාලට දීලා තියෙනවා එක concession එකක් පොඩි relaxation එකක්. එතනදී ඔයාලට පුළුවන් June exam session එකේ capstone කරන ඉන්නවා නම් corporate level core modules එක එයාලට දීලා තියෙනවා 10th මේ වෙනකන්. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ 10 වෙනකන් ඔයාලට chance එක තියෙනවා කම්පලිට් කරන්න power and integrity self assessment. හැබැයි මතක තියාගන්න ඩිසෙම්බර් එක්සමිනේෂන් සෙෂන් එකේ ඉඳලා ඔරිජිනල් රූල් එක වැලිඩ් වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා power and integrity skills කම්ප්ලීට් කරන්න ඕනේ verbal pitch එකට apply කරන්න කලින්. So that's basically the rule.
So, students, now that that is clear, Mr. Kalhar, we also have another question from a student. Are capstone examinations conducted as open book assessments at all three levels?
Yes. So the answer for that question is yes. It's open book material. So you can bring, I think, any material for the that final unseen for the final paper-based examination. So yes. Sorry, and again, so I have to highlight a very important point. I think very recently we have released a communication regarding the open book policy. So that rule will be applicable for that exam as well. So when you bring, let's say, additional material, so you cannot write anything on those materials. You can only tag and you can do those things, but you cannot write anything using, let's say, pencil or pen. You cannot write anything on those materials.
So, Mr. Kalhar, we also have a follow-up question on the same. When it comes to capstone examinations, are students allowed to bring in their personal notes since it is an open book examination is the question.
Yes, they can bring, but the thing is they cannot use any, they can't bring any handwritten materials for the examination at the examination date.
So I hope that answered our student's question. So with that, before we move on to the next question, a quick reminder regarding the deadline to apply for the verbal pitch for business, corporate, as well as strategic capstone. It is this Friday, not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, the 27th of March. So make sure you have all registered for the verbal pitch if you are intending to sit for capstone at any level during June 2026. So with that, yes, we have a complete understanding on the structure of the capstone assessment. So the curriculum makes it clear that capstones are level based and also case driven, and that they not only assess your technical and enabling skills but also power and integrity skills, and also indicates that the capstone assessment methodology sits separately within the overall assessment framework, and the module descriptions point to a combination of verbal pitch as well as written examinations. So students, Oh, I would say the next question I would like to direct to Mr. Kalhara. So, back again, in summary, if you can reiterate what is the complete structure of the capstone assessment in brief?
Right. Yes, Sarah. So, right. So this is a nutshell. So the structure of the capstone assessment. So I think during the session, Ms. Madhushi and Ms. Angelika, we highlighted so what's the purpose. So why we bring these, while we developed our curriculum. So why we bring these capstone and these assessments into the curriculum. So basically, now the basic understanding is now you cannot inseparable those power skills and integrity skills from the capstone. So I think you are familiar with this triangle in the curriculum structure. So the power skills and integrity skills, so those are the base of this structure. So you can see, because these are the essential skills. So while we develop this curriculum, so we have identified, so you need these power and integrity skills, those skills to, you know, in the real world, in the real world business case, application. So you need these skills. So if specifically we go with the power skills, so we have business acumen, leadership, communication, problem solving, those type of skills. So those are the day-to-day skills that a leader, let's say, from the business level perspective, so we can say a student uh, with the entry level qualifications, accounting qualification, entry level accountant as a and the mid level accountant, so and the C-suite accountant. So you will need a different set of power and integrity skills. So let's say in the real world business application. So those are the things, in depth wise, let's say in the business, corporate, and strategic level. So we have embedded those things into this curriculum itself. So basically, before attempting this, what you call the assessments under the capstone, so we have two assessments: verbal pitch assessment and the final capstone assessment. So you all need to have very thorough understanding of these skills under the power skills and integrity skills. So that is the basic thing actually you need to understand. And again, I think at the very beginning of this presentation, Miss Madhushi, she show you in the presentation, there are three materials. For the business level, there is a separate capstone material. Corporate level, there is a material. Strategic level, there is a material. So, and I must say, at the development stage of this curriculum, so we have identified that to complete the core modules, actually we have allocated 6 months, and to complete the capstone assessment, again we have allocated 6 months, because let's say uh, with the time, with the work, I must say, not the workload actually, but with the work planning. So there are several steps to complete in order to get to the final capstone assessment. So that is why we have planned this what do you call the capstone assessments, including power skills and integrity skills, for a 6 months period, right? So basically our students, they need to understand that concept. So usually, Sarah, we are getting calls and inquiries from our students, so whether they can apply for the June capstone assessment, do we have enough time, and what is the deadline, and so on. So basically you have to identify the the things that you have to complete to get to the final stage. So I think during this presentation, so our team, we highlighted what are the things that you need to complete. So please, go through again. Again, I think we are going to upload this live session in our C Online Academy as well. So you can go there and you can uh, rewatch this one. So you can get a a very good understanding on this. Then you can plan this very well, right? So that is my advice for all the students. And so, Sarah, that is the overall structure. So normally we publish our pre-scene. So based on pre-scene, students, they have to do their verbal pitch assessment, which is the first, which is going to be the first assessment under the capstone in each and every level. So then when they successfully complete that one, so then they have to, they can face for the final capstone assessment. So then again, I'm going to highlight the knowledge of the power and integrity skills are very essential.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara. So with that, I now believe that all of our students have a complete, clear-cut understanding on the structure of the capstone assessment, which will be which will be a part. We have the verbal pitch assessment component as well as the final capstone assessment together, the pre-seen and the unseen. And we have a question from a student. Does a student necessarily need to sit for the same final paper-based assessment under the same under the same pre-seen case study for which they sat for their verbal pitch assessment? So, if our panel could answer that question as well.
Yeah, answer is yes. So throughout the presentation, the Mr. Kalhara and Anjalika both mentioned that so this assessment is structured in a way, and the capstone is a project which has two components of assessment and which is based on a pre-scene. So the verbal pitch assessment and the final capstone assessment both will be based on a one particular pre-scene. And so uh, so the learning objective itself in the capstone curriculum, the expectation is for a student to complete the both assessment based on the same pre-themes in a same examination session. So why we are insisting on this progression rule? So the pre-theme will be provided based on the industry or a company, particularly company based on a company, and we are providing the detail relating to the one company. So you have to study well in what is the structure of this company, what are the issues in this company, what is the nature of business and scope, and what type of organization structure, type of the processes involved in this business. So based on that only you are doing the verbal pitch. So the final assessment will get the balance part of the pre-scene on the examination day. So if you do the verbal pitch in one pre-scene and if you are going to do in a final exam in another unseen, so you will not be able to answer this paper in a successful manner. මම මේක සිංහලෙන්වත් කියන්නම්. So the capstone exam එක කියන්නේ capstone project එකක්. මම පටන් ගත්තේ මෙතනින්. capstone කියන්නේ exam එකක් විතරක් නෙවෙයි. So මේ project එකේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ skill develop කරගන්නවා, verbal pitch එකක් කරනවා, final exam එක ලියනවා. ඒතර මේ verbal pitch එකත් final exam එකත් එකම එක pre-scene එකක් මත තමයි develop කරලා තියෙන්නේ. assessment එක කරන්නේ. ඒතර මේ pre-scene එක ඔයගලන්ගේ level එකට අදාළව develop කරලා තියෙන්නේ යම්කිසි company එකක් ගැන. එතකොට ඒ කම්පැනි එකේ මේචර් එක මොකක්ද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ බිස්නස් එක මොන මොන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි වලටද අයිති වෙන්නේ මොනවද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ බිස්නස් ප්‍රොසෙස් ඒ ඔක්කොම මේ ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ තියෙනවා. ඒතකොට ඒ ප්‍රීසීන් එක බලලා අර ස්කිල් ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් ස්කිල් යුනිට්ස් වලින් ගත්තු අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩින් එකත් ඉන්කෝපරේට් කරලා තමයි වර්බල් පිච් ඇසස්මන්ට් එක කරන්නේ. එතකොට ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් එක දවසට ඕගොල්ලන්ට හම්බ වෙන්නේ මේ ප්‍රීසීන් එකේම ඉතුරු කොටස. ඒකට ඕගොල්ලෝ ඕල්රෙඩි දන්න කම්පැනි එක නොදන්නා කොටසක් තමයි අන්සීන් එක කියලා කියන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට අර ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ තියෙන ඩීටේල්ස් උත් පාවිච්චි කරලා එදා ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් ඩේට් එකේදී හම්බෙන අන්සීන් එකේදී හම්බෙන ඩීටේල්ස් උත් පාවිච්චි කරලා තමයි ඕගලන්ගේ ෆයිනල් අන්සීන් පේපර් බේස්ඩ් එක්සෑම් එක කම්ප්ලීට් කරන්න ඕනේ මේ ජූන් දෙසැම්බර් තියෙන එක්සෑම් එක කරන්න. ඒ නිසා මේ රූල් එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ verbal pitch එකත් final assessment එකත් එකම pre-scene එකක් base කරගෙන ඒ කියන්නේ එකම exam session එකක් ඇතුළතදී complete කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ verbal pitch එක exam session එකක කරලා final exam එක තව exam session එකක කරන්න උලක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ knowledge එක build up කරන්න ඕන නිසා මේ capstone project එක ඇතුලේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ company එක ගැන study කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට ඒ company එක ඒ organization එක අදාළ business industry එක ගැන ටිකක් අවබෝධය තියෙන්න ඕනේ, additional informations බලන්න ඕනේ, news බලන්න ඕනේ, ලෝකේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ, මොන වගේ regulation regulatory changes තියනවද මොන වගේ දේවල් apply වෙනවද business structure එකට ඒ වගේ පොඩි understanding එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් දැන් මේ වෙද්දී අපි ලෙවල් 3ටම අදාළ ප්‍රීසීන් පබ්ලිෂ් කරලා තියෙනවා වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ CS ශ්‍රී ලංකා වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ examination landing page එකට ගියොත් ඔයගලන්ට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් capstones කියලා වෙනම red color box එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඇතුලේ level 3ටම අදාළ ප්‍රීසීන් සහ verbal pitch document එක අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ප්‍රීසීන් ડોකියුමන්ට් එකේ තියෙනවා ඒ කම්පැනි එකට අදාළව අපි දෙන සියලුම විස්තර සහ මොනවද අපි ඕගොල්ලන්ගෙන් එක්ස්පෙක්ට් කරන්නේ කියලා. මට අයිඩියා එකක් නැහැ දැනට ඕගොල්ලෝ කී දෙනෙක් මේ verbal pitch ප්‍රීසීන් එක දැකලා තියෙනවද ප්‍රීසීන් එක බලලා තියෙනවද ප්‍රීසීන් එක කියවලා තියෙනවද කියන එක. ඉතින් ෆස්ට් ඇඩ්වයිස් එක අදම ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අදාළ ලෙවල් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ capstone එක ජූන් වල කරන්න ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් නම් අදම ප්‍රීසීන් එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරගන්න verbal pitch guideline එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරගන්න. එතකොට අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද මොකද්ද මේ කියන්නේ කියලා. මොකද මේ ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ සියලුම විස්තර ටික තියෙනවා. මට ස්ක්‍රීන් එක ෂෙයා කරන්න ඔප්ෂන් එක දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මගේ ස්ක්‍රීන් එක පේනවා කියලා හිතනවා මම.
Yes.
එතකොට මේක තමයි මේ මම බිස්නස් ලෙවල් එකේ ප්‍රීසීන් එක තමයි ඔයගලන්ට එක්සැම්පල් එකකට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. මේ ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ pages 18ක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ අරගෙන මේක කියවන්න ඕනේ. ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා අපි දාලා තියෙනවා. කවුද කැන්ඩිඩේට් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මොන ලෙවල් එකද එක්ස්පෙක්ට් කරන්නේ. කම්පැනි එක ගැන ඉන්ට්‍රොඩක්ෂන් තියෙනවා. ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක සහ මාකට් එක මේ බිස්නස් එකට අදාළව තියෙනවා. දැන් කොහොමද මේ බිස්නස් එක ඔපරේට් වෙන්නේ කියන බිස්නස් මොඩල් එක මෙන්ෂන් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඕගනයිසේෂන් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක කවුද මේකේ ලීඩර්ස්ලා මොකක්ද ගවර්නන්ස් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක කියලා තියෙනවා. then operations කොහොමද වෙන්නේ තියෙන facilities මොනවද risk management කරන්නේ කොහොමද sustainability related initiatives අරන් තියෙන්නේ මොනවද ඒ සියලුම විස්තර ප්‍රීසි ඒකම් මේ first මම මේ කියන්නේ business level එකේ ප්‍රීසීන් එක ගැන මේ නිසල ගාමන්ට් කියන ඕගනයිසේෂන් එක තමයි ප්‍රීසීන් එකට බේස් කරන් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේ ඕගනයිසේෂන් එක ගැන සියලුම විස්තර මේ ડોකියුමන්ට් එකේ තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයා මේ ඕගනයිසේෂන් එකේ කවුද කියලා තමයි අපි මුලින්ම කියන්නේ. Your role in the organization. You are employed as a finance executive. එතකොට as a business level student, you should think as a finance executive and prepare yourself how you should do. එතකොට මේක කියන්නේ ඔයා ඒ organization එකේ finance executive කෙනෙක්. You have these core responsibilities. Your expectation is this, and the company introduction and all the details are there. So you have to take some time and read this carefully, mark the important thing, and identify the processes, requirements, and everything. So this is the 18-page document for the business capstone precinct. Likewise, the corporate capstone and the strategic capstone, the documents have been published. So I kindly request you to download this document. Please go through and identify what is our expectation in this particular capstone project. Right. So then, apart from that, so there is a verbal pitch document which is relating to the capstone project. So again, I am taking the example for the business capstone. So the business capstone එකේ තියෙන එක තමයි මම example එකට ගන්න. එතකොට එතන PC එක download කරන තැන පල්ලෙහා තියෙනවා verbal pitch document එකක් දාලා. ඒක පින්ටු 8ක් තියෙන there are 8 pages in the verbal pitch document. ඒකෙදි අපි කියලා තියෙනවා ආයෙත් මොකක්ද අපි මේ verbal pitch එක කරන්න එකේ purpose එක මොනවද සබ්මිට් කරන්න ඕනේ verbal pitch එකේ අපි මොනවද ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් එක්ස්පෙක්ට් කරන්නේ බිස්නස් ලෙවල් ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක්ගෙන් මොකක්ද එක්ස්පෙක්ට් කරන්නේ කියලා මේක කෝපරේට් ලෙවල් ස්ට්‍රැටජික් ලෙවල් verbal pitch document එකට යද්දි ඒක අදාළ ලෙවල් එකට අදාළව කොහොමද එක්ස්පෙක්ටේෂන් එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ කියලා දාලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ ප්‍රීසීන් එක කොහොමද verbal pitch එකට පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ කොහොමද verbal pitch එකට ප්‍රීසීන් එකේ තියෙන information use කරන්න කියලා ගයිඩ් එකක් මෙතන තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ power and integrity skills කොහොමද අපි මේකට incorporate කරගන්නේ කියලාත් guideline එකේ තියෙනවා. common pitfalls identify කරගන්න හැටි, ඒව avoid කරගන්න හැටි, හරිම විදිහට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ verbal pitch එක submit කරන්න හැටි සියලුම guideline මේ document එකේ දීලා තියෙනවා. So my humble request is to go through these documents very carefully. If you can't understand it in a proper way, so you can refer to some person who is eligible to take you through this briefing. Then you can see what you have to do under the pre-scene document. Like එතකොට මේ pre-scene එක යටතේ verbal pitch document එක යටතේ මම කිව්වේ area ටික තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලෝ verbal pitch එකට issue එක verbal pitch වීඩියෝ එක ඩිවලොප් කරන්න කියන එක තමයි අනිත් එක. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකේ දාලා තියෙනවා අපි 5 minutes presentation එකක්. slides 3යි හදන්න ඕනේ. ඒ slides 3 හදන්න ඕන මොකද්ද slides 3 තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ slides 3ට scenario එකක් කොහොමද තෝරගන්නේ. ඒ scenario එක තෝරගන්න ඕනේ areas මොනවද. clear guidance හැම pre-scene එකකම දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේක හරිම කවුරු හරි ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් දැන් capstone එකට fit කරන්න බලන් ඉන්නවා නම් first step එක තමයි මේ documents download කරගෙන මේක කියවන්න. මේක කිව්වහම ඔයගලන්ට සම්පූර්ණ understanding එකක් එනවා මොකටද මේ verbal pitch එක කරන්නේ, මොකක්ද අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ, කොහොමද අපි මේකට ලකුණු දෙන්නේ. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ scenario 1 2 3 section B එකේ තියෙන මෙන්න මේ areas වලින් තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ verbal pitch එක හදන්නේ. scenario 1, area 2, area 3, area 4 කියලා අපි areas කීපයකුත් හඳුන්වලා දීලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ level එකට අදාළව scenarios වෙනස් වෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයා ඉගෙන ගන්න capstone level එකට අනුව you can select the scenario. ඒ scenario එක base කරගෙන තමයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ verbal pitch presentation එක slides ප්‍රමාණය හදන්න ඕනේ. ඒතර business level student කෙනෙක් නම් slides 3යි, corporate level student කෙනෙක් නම් slides 5යි, strategic level student කෙනෙක් නම් slides 10 slides හදන්න ඕනේ. ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක දීලා තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට කොහොමද slide 1 එකේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්න ඕනේ? slide 2 එකේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්න ඕනේ? slide 3 එකේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා very clearly mention කරලා තියෙනවා document එකේ. ඉතින් මේක self learning එකක් විදියට උනත් ඔයගලන්ට හරියට බැලුවොත් කරගන්න පුළුවන් අවශ්‍ය guideline එක දීලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ section D එකේ තියලා තියෙනවා verbal pitch rubric එකක්. මෙන්න මේක තමයි ඔයගලන්ට verbal pitch එකට marks දෙන විදිය. එතකොට ඔයාලගේ verbal pitch presentation එකේ slides 3 හදලා ඒක video recording එකක් විදිහට කරලා upload කරාම අපි බලනවා ඒකේ ඔයා ඒ verbal pitch එක ඇතුලේ analytical insights කොච්චර අරන් තියනවද කියලා. ඒකට 35% marks allocation එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයාගේ communication කොච්චර clarity ද කියන එක මේක English වලින් කරන්න ඕනේ. පුළුවන් තරම් grammatical mistakes අඩු කරලා English presentation එක කරන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ try කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට support එක අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්න power skills වල communication module එකෙන් ඔයගලන්ට දෙනවා. එතකොට communication clarity එක develop කරගන්න. එතනට අපි 25% weightage එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා. Then persuasion and the presence. එතකොට කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලෝ confidently මේ problem එක articulate කරන්නේ තෝරගත්ත question scenario එක explain කරන්න. එතනට 20% marks allocate වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ integration of external data. ඒ නිසා තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ pre-scene එක තවදුරටත් study කරන්න ඕනේ. pre-scene එකට අදාළ සෙක්ටර් එකට අදාළව මොකද්ද ලංකාව ඇතුළත වෙන්නේ, මොකද්ද ලෝකයේ ඇතුළත වෙන්නේ, ඒ හා සමාන අනිත් කම්පැනි වල මොනවද වෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් ටිකක් ඉන්ටිග්‍රේට් කරොත් පුංචි දේවල් මේ පොඩි වෙලාවක් ඇතුළතනේ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඒකටත් ඔයගලන්ගේ 20% marks allocation එකක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ වගේම තමයි ඔයගලන්ගේ ෆයිනල් අන්සීන් පේපර් එක හම්බ වුණාම මේ වගේ රූබ්‍රික් එකක් අනුව තමයි capstone එකට මාක්ස් දෙන්නේ. එතනත් හරියට පැහැදිලි කරලා තියෙනවා ඔයගලන්ට මොන සෙක්ෂන් එකට මොන විදියට මාක්ස් ඇලොකේෂන් එකක් කරනවද කියලා. එතකොට විශේෂයෙන්ම කන්සිඩර් කරන දේ තමයි power and integrity skills වල ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන ගන්න learnings කොහොමද ඔයගලන්ගේ answers වලට articulate කරන්න කියලා අන්සීන් ෆයිනල් එක්සෑම් එකේදී. එතකොට අන්නේ component එකට marks allocation එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක business capstone final exam එකේ 20% allocation එකක් තියෙනවා power and integrity වලට. corporate capstone එකේදී 40% 30% allocation එකක්. strategic capstone එකේදී 40% allocation එකක් තියෙනවා. How you are going to integrate the power and integrity skills which you have learned into your final assessment answer. ඉතින් මේක දැන් මොකද්ද කියලා හරියටම අයිඩියා එකක් නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න ඕනේ pilot papers ටික. මේක වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ දාලා තියෙනවා. CS ශ්‍රී ලංකා වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ under the examination model papers the pilot papers of the curriculum 2025. එතකොට capstone එකට අදාළව pilot papers දාලා තියෙනවා levels තුනේම. ඒකේ pilot paper එක එතකොට verbal pitch guideline verbal pitch guideline එක verbal pitch එකට දෙන්න ඕන උත්තර දෙන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද ෆයිනල් ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එකට ආන්සර් එක ලියලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද ඒ සියලු දේ ගැන අන්ඩර්ස්ටෑන්ඩින් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් පයිලට් පේපර් එක රිෆර් කරාට පස්සේ. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා හැම ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක්ම බොහොම කාරුණිකව ඉල්ලනවා මේ ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් බලන්න දීලා තියෙන ගයිඩ්ලයින්ස් ෆලෝ කරන්න පයිලට් පේපර්ස් බලන්න ස්ටඩි මැටීරියල්ස් බලන්න ඒ ටික ඔයගොල්ලෝ හරියට කන්වර්සන් කරගත්තොත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ජොබ් එකෙන් ගොඩක් කොටසක් කවර් වෙනවා. ඉතුරු ටික ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් ලර්නින් වලින් self learning වලින් හදාගන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි still if you find it difficult, you can get a help from a kind of a lecturer to conversant with this pre-scene and get successful in the pre-scene. So I will explain this in English as well. So every verbal pitch, we have the components, the marking rubrics available for the verbal pitch as well. This is the weightages given for the rubric under the verbal pitch assessment. Similar rubric will be available for the final exams as well. So you have to focus on how to integrate your power, how to integrate the power and integrity skills in your final assessment answer. So for the business level, the 20% allocation is there from the power and integrity skill integration. And for the corporate level, there will be a 30% mark allocation for the power and integrity skill integration for your final assessment answer. And for the strategic level, it's a 40% weightage for the power and integrity assessment. That's why you are doing all this self-learning, power and integrity skill-based module to get the knowledge on how you are going to be successful in your Capstone final exam. So when you are selecting the scenario, so I am repeating the same thing which I mentioned in single earlier. When selecting a scenario to prepare your verbal pitch presentation, we have specifically mentioned what are the areas you can select for your verbal pitch under the given pre-scene. So please go through the pre-scene very carefully and be conversant in the pre-scene, and you can find a scenario based on your convenience and which you are very conversant with. So based on that, you can develop the verbal pitch presentation. And also we have given what should be mentioned in each slide as well. So this is very clear guide and so I think this is very clear. And the only thing is you have to spend few more minutes, few more hours, read it carefully without any interruption. So you will be able to do this without any type of a hassle uh, since all the instructions have been given. So the depth of the expectation will be depend on the level of the capstone which you are going to follow. For the business level student, it's a foundation stage type of a fundamental things we are expecting. And for the corporate level, it's a little bit of advanced expectations are there. But for the strategic level, that is the final level. So our expectation is to create a competent, trusted strategic storyteller, the chartered accountants for the 2030s and beyond. So you have to survive in this industry to be compete with all the professionals and be the business leaders and the torch bearers of this profession. So the strategic level, definitely the higher level of expectation is there for the strategic capstone. So please go through the pilot papers and the pilot paper answers and the model which we are expect you to cover and the study material you need to refer. And institute is organizing the pre-scene discussion and the exam focus session for the capstone. So you can access those. Please subscribe to the CA Online Academy, the official YouTube channel of CA Sri Lanka. So you will get the notification once the session is there, once the video is uploaded, and you can join to YouTube. It's a free of charge sessions, and please go through those. And we are giving some kind of a industry insight as well, which you can incorporate in your verbal pitch as well as in your final assessment as well. So these are the things which I wanted to highlight since I feel that many of the students have not yet conversant with these documents and not have haven't gone through the documents yet. So based on this, you will get a more clarified answer, and we will be having more sessions like that. And if you need any support in preparing your verbal speech and kind of how to do this and all those things, you can contact the skill development division, and they will arrange you the mentoring session for this one. and guide you through how to do this verbal pitch session. And it will be a prior appointment basis because of the number of students who are going to do this. So please contact the skill development division based on their email addresses. We will publish those details in the LMS as well. So I hope I have covered something which is not something which is curious, but from the questions also this has not been up because still you haven't go through this document. I'm sure that. So please ensure that you are going through all the pre-seen document relevant to your level and the verbal pitch document, and you should be in it for these 6 months to be successful in the capstone. මේ කම්පැනි එක ඇතුලේ මේ මාස 6 ජීවත් වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට තමයි ඔයාට ඒ ජූන් එක්සෑම් එකේදී as a finance executive, like we mentioned the candidate profile here, you will be able to do your answer in a proper manner. That's why the 6 months learning period has given for this capstone project. ඔයාට ගොඩක් දේවල් කරගන්න තියෙනවා මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ගැන ඉගෙන ගන්න, මේ knowledge එක articulate කරන්න, මේකට related curriculum එක ඉගෙන ගන්න, power skills, integrity skills ටික ඉගෙන ගන්න. ඒ ඔක්කොම එකතු කරලා තමයි successful answer එකක් හදන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. Thank you.
So thank you, Miss Madhushi, for that detailed explanation. So we have a quick question back again. This is relating to the open book policy communication, which has been published on the CS Sri Lanka CS Sri Lanka website. The student says, for BCAP, CCAP, and SCAP, there is no recommended study material. However, they are allowed to bring any study material because the pilot paper says that it is an open book exam. The student still asks whether it is allowed to make notes or bring handwritten notes since it is an open book exam and there has been no recommended open book referential material for Capstone.
So the first thing is the capstone is the real world application. So you can't have a pre-prepared answer for the unseen case study. So the whatever the thing you can bring the study text and any industry related document if you are having the examples or anything, but it should not violate the open book policy of CS Sri Lanka. You can't bring the handwritten notes or any documents which violate the open book policy. So any kind of a reference material for the examples, the that type of things, books you can bring in. So we can't put a recommended book for a practical exam, real application examination. So this is where the difference is. This is where the beauty is of this examination. So you can't have a pre-prepared answer. You can't by heart and come and write something for the final assessment day. So මම දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලත් පෙන්නුවේ අර රූබ්‍රික් එකකට තමයි ඔයාලා මාකින් එක වෙන්නේ. එතකොට pre prepared answer එකකින් ඒ ලකුණු ගණන ස්කෝර් කරන්න අමාරුයි. ඒ නිසා හැමතිස්සෙම හිතලා dots connect කරලා මේ process එක integrate කරලා answer එකක් develop කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක නිසා capstone එකට attempt කරන students ලා specially focus කරන්න how you are going to write the answer. So the practice is essential. At least you should try some of the mock examination or the pilot papers with on the time management also important, and think about the different scenario what can happen at the unseen. For the pre-seen, what can be happen at the time of the unseen. So maybe so that is unseen which we don't know. That's the future. So that is why we have not mentioned any particular book there as the open book, recommended open book material. So this is a practical application examination. So you can bring any of the relative, if you feel that this book can be help me to sign, assist to me write the answer, you can bring, but it should not violate the open book policy. You can't bring any personal notes. The handwritten notes, highlighting, sticky note, those cannot be applicable. So even if you bring those, we hope that කටපාඩම් කරලා මේ උකට උත්තර ලියන්න අමාරුයි. So you have to properly think and prepare yourself how you are going to bat in this paper. So this paper contain so a little bit of structure, 4 main sub questions and 25 marks each, 4 questions. in each capstone examination. So you have to plan that one, practice that type of a question. You can see the similar question in the study text as well. So with that practice, I think you will be able to successful in the exam.
So I hope that cleared our students' question around open book referential material and also the open book policy communication made by CA Sri Lanka. So for students who have been finding it difficult to navigate through the website for the pilot papers as well as the pre-scene and the verbal pitch guidelines, the links have been now dropped into the chat box. So please feel free to bookmark those relevant links which have been provided. With that, we also have another question from a student. Will marks from the verbal pitch be aggregated to their final written assessment in terms of the capstone?
No, the verbal pitch is a prerequisite to apply for the final examination. So you have to complete the verbal pitch and score more than 50% marks in the verbal pitch assessment to be eligible to apply for the final assessment of the capstone. But there will not be any marks carrying for the final examination from the verbal pitch.
And also, a student asks back again, this is a BCAP student with pending examination results from the old curriculum. Should they still apply before the 27th of the student says whether they can whether they should still apply before the 27th of March, having said that the deadline might be considered an extension for students with pending results.
They should apply. Application to be lodged anyway. Once you lodge the application for the verbal pitch, the screening will be done from the CS Sri Lanka and let you know the eligibility to upload the verbal pitch and facilitate the platform for you to upload. So in that time process, so you will by that time you will be receiving your results and comply with the prerequisite. If you are get through, yes, you can upload your verbal pitch. If you are not successful at in your business level exam, we do not hope that to be happen anymore. And so then you can reattempt the exam which you are pending, and you can carry that payment for the next verbal pitch.
Back again, thank you very much, Miss Madhushi. We have another follow-up question from a student. Will there be a reattempt allowed for students who are unsuccessful in their June final written examination under with the same pre-scene?
At the moment, we have not planned for any repeat exams because it's a final exam will be happening in June and the next exam in the December based on the other preceding coming.
Hope we cleared that question of our student as well. And the next question is related to the study material, study text. Before when should a student purchase their study material? And also it says for a student who has purchased their physical copies of study material, won't they be provided with a soft copy version as well?
Yes. Uh, so for that question, actually, for the capstone assessment, so they have to purchase their study material. So each and every level, as we earlier said, we have business level, corporate level, and strategic level study materials. So you have to purchase those study materials so before you attempt in the verbal pitch assessment, because you are going to need that knowledge. You have to apply that knowledge there. So you need to purchase the study materials before you attempting the verbal pitch assessment, which is the first assessment under the capstone. And for the next question, actually, we do not provide soft copies, free of charge for the students who have purchased, let's say, under the 2020 curriculum, the study materials. So if they need, actually under this new curriculum, so we have integrated some new knowledge. I think Ms. Madhushi highlighted those areas at the very beginning. So if you need to gain that knowledge, of course, you can purchase a soft copy. So actually that's available at the moment. So you can purchase that one. You don't need to go for a hard copy. So you can purchase the soft copy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara. A follow-up question on the same. For a student who has purchased the hard copy or the physical copy under the new curriculum, will that student be able to obtain the soft copy free of charge?
Yes, that can be considered actually for the students who have purchased the hard copy. So we will facilitate that in the future. So we will communicate that how we are going to facilitate that request in the due course.
And also, Mr. Kalhara, one of our students asked from where they could obtain the recommended open book referential material, if you can cover that as well.
Yes, open book referential materials are available at the institute. So you can come to the institute. So we have a separate counter for that, publication counter. So you can purchase the open book materials there. And for the gazettes, actually, we don't issue gazettes. So you can purchase those gazettes from the government printing, that office.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara. So I hope that answered our student's question. And the next question is from a student who is aiming for SCAP in June. The student says, since the verbal pitch is scheduled from the 20th to 30th April, is the student required to have a complete understanding on power skills and integrity skills, and also the knowledge components on or before the 20th of April? If Miss Madhushi can answer that question.
Yeah, actually, as we said earlier, so students, they need to have that knowledge before attempting any. Let's say we have two assessments under the capstone, even at the strategic level. So they need to have that understanding, because we are testing integrity, those skills, separately. So examiners, they kind of like they look at those skills. So let's say again the communication skills and the business acumen, how they use, and people skills, so they can that knowledge has to be there to face any let's say the verbal pitch assessment or the final capstone assessment. So they need that knowledge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara, for answering that question. So we will be moving on to our last frequently asked question in terms of the timelines and duration of completing the capstone. So I think most of the areas have already been discussed, but to wrap up, if we can explain it in brief, because students need this information for very practical reasons, like to plan their studies, finances, as well as progression properly. So could we ask Mr. Kalhara back again to explain the duration of this capstone journey, which is expected, and also the key stages within this timeline, and for their planning?
Yes, Sarah. So as you can see on the screen, so we published all the pre-seen case studies on our website. So those are available from 10th of March 2026. So there you can go and refer to those materials, business level, corporate level, and strategic level. And the next timeline will be the verbal pitch submission actually. And for the we have opened the applications as well for the those verbal pitch assessment. I think Ms. Angelika covered that area. So here for the verbal pitch submission, so we have first BCAP verbal pitch submissions. So students, they have to submit their recorded videos before 10th of April, and those who are following the CCAP, so they have to upload their recorded videos prior to the 17th April. And for the SCAP, actually, they have to submit their these presentations prior to the 20th April. And so we are going to schedule their presentations from 20th April to 30th April. And verbal pitch results we are planning to release by 30th April. So as we said earlier, so there will be a reattempt for those who unsuccessful in that verbal pitch assessment. So within 7 days, so they have to resubmit there for the business level and corporate level. So they can resubmit their those re-recorded videos to the LMS within 7 days. So that would the final date would will be the 7th May 2026. And for the SCAP, we are scheduling repeat those attempts between 6th May and 8th May. And the results you can expect during 9th May. So then again, for the final capstone assessment, we are calling applications, and the applications will be closing on 10th May. So those are the most important dates that you have to keep in your mind if you are going to attempt those capstone assessment under the 20 June examination session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalhara, for covering on the timelines for the capstone assessments for this June 2026 sitting. So with that, we also have another question from a student. The student says that since there will be a Q&A interactive session for the SCAP verbal pitch, will the student need to know all knowledge components related to SCAP before the 20th of April?
Yeah, actually the thing is there is a prerequisite that you have to complete all the core modules. But at the capstone assessment level, we are not going to directly test those areas. That means the core module that content areas under the capstone assessments we are not going to test. Even at the verbal pitch or the final capstone assessment, we are not going to test the core module that those areas. But the most important thing is that you have to go through the capstone materials, those study materials. So that will be directly tested. And study material plus the pre-scene. So for the capstone, we have released a pre-scene those case study. So mainly from the pre-scene and the study material.
Mr. Kalhar, we also have another follow-up question on the same. During the Q&A session for SCAP verbal pitch, will a student be questioned outside their verbal pitch presentation and also outside the pre-scene case study?
No.
So I think with that, most of our frequently asked questions have been covered and clarified during this discussion. So we back again request if there are any questions, feel free to send it over to us. And at the same time, I thank all of our panelists for that, all of those insightful clarifications. And we will now move in towards closing the Q&A. So back again, if you have any questions, shoot them towards us. And also make sure that you keep your questions clear and brief wherever possible so that we are able to accommodate more students' questions during the session. And also let's avoid repetitive questions which have already been clarified during the session. We have one more question from a student. The student says, if I am successful in the June 2026 SCAP final written assessment and also have completed all my practical training requirements, will I have to sit for the final Viva to get my membership? Is the question.
Yes, so each and every level, so not only at the final level, So let's say for the CBA, CCA, and ACA, so they have to face for the final viva to get the membership.
Hope that answers our students' question back again. So we'll give maybe a couple of more seconds if there are any further questions to direct it towards us. So with that, I hope we have clarified almost all of your questions which were directed during this session. So we come close to an end of today's session. Now I would like to really extend my sincere appreciation to all our panelists, Ms. Madhushi Hapuarachi, Mr. Kalhara Gunatunga, Ms. Angelika Kulatunga for taking their time to share their knowledge, insight and guidance with all of our students this evening. So your contribution has certainly helped bring much needed clarity on this capstone component of the new curriculum. So I would also like to thank all of our students, or I would say rather aspiring chartered accountants who joined us today and actively engaged throughout this session. So before we conclude, we kindly request all our participants to take a few moments to complete the feedback form, which will be shared in our Zoom chat section. So your feedback is extremely valuable to us and it will help us continuously improve and deliver more meaningful and student-focused sessions in the future. So as you continue your journey under the new curriculum, I would like to leave you with a small thought. The path of becoming a chartered accountant may not always be easy, but it requires discipline, consistency, and resilience. But it is also one of the most rewarding and fulfilling journeys that you can ever take. So, the introduction of the capstone is a reflection of of that journey, giving you the opportunity to bring together everything you have learned and apply them with confidence. So take this opportunity to plan ahead, stay proactive, engage actively with your learning and approach each stage of your CA journey with clarity and determination. So we look forward to seeing you all progress through the qualification and very soon qualify as chartered accountants. So wishing every one of you the best in your studies, your examinations and your future careers. So thank you very much once again for joining us this evening. Have a wonderful night.